And we are back from break. My camera kept turning off. How odd. Leslie's still out there with her dog. So, I guess that means
Hi.
welcome back. I guess that means we turn it over to the main topic, which I've called kind of the landmark reset. It's really what they're doing here with a character wipe and a claim wipe coming up within the next month or so. Um, That means that we're gonna have we're resetting landmark. They're adding in new biomes. They're adding in they're changing the way that the continents are going to be constructed, so that there's going to be more islands and rivers kind of showing up. It's a pretty exciting time. So, Lucy, cooperative builds. Do you have one in Landmark currently? What are your plans for a cooperative build going into the next after the Landmark reset? Do you have any?
I actually only have cooperative builds. I can't name a build, like a claim, that I have currently that somebody else hasn't worked on me with. I have, let's see, we have Sealand. First of all, we have the Sealand Guild Town, and that is a co-op between myself and mostly a couple other guildmates. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We also have a Sealand like feast hall that we made for a PvP event, and we actually got together and we sat down in Mumble and in game, and we just like threw a bunch of ideas together. Like one person was like, "Here's some windows I came up with. Here's some buttresses I got, and I've got and." We put all sorts of stuff together, and I had some trestle tables and some like rope, some like catwalks that I included. One of our guild members is really geared towards PvP, so he was kind of overseeing like this should be there, that should be there. He added a bunch of bombs and flingers, and it was awesome. Like it was just really cool to like sit down and like be with a bunch of other people and throw all of your ideas together, throw all of the things you've been working on together. Everybody had different skill sets. Like we had one person who was good with like what you would call voxelmancy. So like she knew about like microvoxels and offset voxels and how to put those together to make the shapes that she wanted to make. And she did a lot of that stuff. And then I do a lot of like the little details, like the prop work and like kind of like setting the scene. I would say like I put props in places and kind of like tell a story through what you can see. And we had like another guildmate who was PvP oriented and threw that knowledge in there to make the map like playable as well as visually appealing. And it was just, and even if you weren't a builder, we had a couple guildmates who, once people put stuff down, would grab it, template it, copy and paste it to make things, you know, look the way they should. And it was just a lot of fun to do that with a bunch of other people. I highly recommend that you, if you haven't done a group build, you should, because everybody's skills are useful. Everyone, even I don't think of myself as a builder, but everybody's skills are absolutely needed in a group build like that, because you're going to have different people with different skill sets who are good at different things, and it was absolutely amazing to do.
I agree. I got involved in a group build with my parents early in, right after they did the wipe going from alpha to the beta, and I'd love to. I actually think that's what I was going to throw out there, that I think that if you're going to do a cooperative build, right now is the time to start planning it, because once those servers come up after they've been completely wiped, you're going to, you know, get the prime location that you want. And I've always, like, when I was doing my group build, it was like this, the land was telling me a story about how it was going to be settled and developed. And I think that one of the coolest things that we did when we were doing our group build is that because there were 4 of us, like, you could spread out your claims so that it wasn't just one mega claim, like a claim here, and then down, you know, on the other end of a valley there was another claim, and then on top of a hill was another claim, and then the 3 claims working together with the groups of people came up with like those 3 claims tell the story about this particular valley rather than just one claim being one city type stuff.
We've also done things where we create, kind of like for the workshop build, we created like a template that we wanted to do for our town, and everybody made different stores or locations of interest or stuff like that within the sort of theme that we were going for, and then we put it all together to make a comprehensive town, and I think it looks awesome. We've been having a lot of fun with that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited to see the tools, because I wish that the first time I got into Landmark that they had the tools at the level that they're at now, because the pasting voxels into air feature that they're adding or that they've added, this was one of my huge problems, right? Like, I want to make a round tower and I want to sink it down into the ground, and it was like there wasn't any way to like paste it down into the ground without like removing the voxels around it or filling that after you've put it down in there. It always seemed like there were the dead voxels of air around the round part of the tower where you had made like square cuts into the ground to place your tower into the ground. And so I always tried to hide that by putting bushes over the top of those little places that I couldn't fill in with, like, so you can't see it. Out of sight, out of mind. You don't see that there's like little pits in the ground all around my round tower because I couldn't fill them in. So I thought that it was like, that's one of the tools that I'm super looking forward to.
Yeah, putty voxels. Putty voxels are not intuitive.
Yes, and again, it wasn't just that like I had difficulty building in Landmark because I'm not very I don't have a whole lot of design in me for creating buildings and stuff like that. And so like there was first overcoming the challenge of getting like some place that I want to create in my mind, and then having the skills necessary was the other challenge, because it was like, okay, here are the tools that Daybreak have given me. How do I make that work? And often it was like, there was more problems than it was worth. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back, because for one, I don't need a claim to do what I really want to do in Landmark. And two, like once they have vendors that you can place on claims, that's when I really want to get back into the game, because I want to see, like, now that I have permanent voxels and stuff, what can we do?
I'm really waiting for quests for mobs, for them to give me mobs, and for them to give me the DM tools, because I want to make dungeons. I want to be so horrible to the people who come to my claim and dare to open that door and go inside. I want to be absolutely horrible to you guys. So just as a heads up, as soon as Daybreak gives me those tools, gives me those DM tools that I can make pit traps that actually kill your character rather than just dropping you into a pit that looks like it has spikes, I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna find new and interesting ways to do it. So don't come on my claim prepared.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about that earlier. Like, we were talking about voxels that damage you or voxels that kill you, like being able to place lava on the ground, like it's the no touching zone. You touch it, you die, or you touch it and you take damage. Those are the kind of the things that we want to see. That being able to place NPCs like monsters on claims is another huge deal. I did the same. I did the same thing that you did on my first claim in Landmark. Was I took my claim and I emptied it down all the way to the ground, and I started building it from the bottom subterranean, and I built it all the way up to the top, and then I used the repair tool to repair the desert over the top of my claim. So when you looked at it, it was just like whatever was on the top, but then you climbed all the way down, and it went all the way. It was a dungeon. It went all the way down to the bottom, and that, all those types of fun things that you can do with claim building. So I wish that I could take all of my experience prior to the new wipe with the new tools and forget about it and just go in with a fresh set of eyes, because all of my frustrations, I could just like, no, I don't have any frustrations. I never had that problem before, and see it from the, brand new. Kailas? No interest in building at all.
No, I hate building in Landmark. And my mom
You wanna
always
come
taught
through
me,
my
if you don't
mazes?
have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Do you want
What?
to come and explore my mazes?
I like mazes. I could come and see mazes.
See, that's what Landmark needs. They need content creators and people to consume the content. Because right now we just have like content creators. We don't really have and we don't really have a way to make that interactive yet. We have linking and triggering, yeah. And I saw one really cool thing. I don't remember who it was, but if you're in chat, shout out because I totally want to give you credit for this. Somebody made a bank vault that you had to figure out the code through linking and triggering. And what was behind the door was like a chest with prizes inside of it. That was so cool, and I want to be able to like do that on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Because so that way the people who don't like creating or don't think that they're good at creating or just don't have the time to learn all the tools or whatever your play style is, you can still enjoy Landmark because there's gonna be content there that you can consume.
Agreed. And again, and then like I stopped building before they adding in the linking and triggering, and like that's a level of design that I haven't even it completely blows my mind. It's like I'm down here and normal builders are up here, and people that have mastered like linking and triggering are like 3 or 4 levels above where I'm at. It's crazy. So we have the one video because we switched this over to talk about EQ next a little bit. This is the portion of the video where they're talking about prop palette and how it's going to work in EQ next. So I'm going to play that really quick, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it in just a second.
We're working on EverQuest Next at the same time. The prop palette will certainly be there in EverQuest Next, but you'll have to discover the props. You'll have to find them. You'll have to explore the world to discover. I want the specific painting. Well, that painting is only available in this area, so you've got to go track that down and find it. So one of the collection aspects of the game is still finding props so that you can use them in your homes.
Okay. But again, and that's the plan as we introduce this into EverQuest Next. But for Landmark, if it's a prop that can be in the prop palette, it will be there. And so if there's a prop that people know about that's missing, where might they find if they go, hey, this prop isn't in the prop palette, if it's something like a chest or something you may have won from a competition?
Then it would be on the workshop.
It'll be on the crafting.
Yep.
Okay, so on your crafting station.
Yep, so one of the things
All right, so for those that are, they're talking about a prop tool for Landmark, and that's going to have like all of the props are going to be there on your prop palette in Landmark because they want to give them to you to build and create. And then they're talking about in EverQuest Next, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to explore to find those props to put on your prop palette. And what that really tells me is that we're going to have building in EverQuest Next, right? Is that how everybody interpreted that?
Yes.
And then so
They've always said that you're going to be able to take your like guild halls or your personal house or whatever that you've built in Landmark and be able to export it to EverQuest Next. So no surprise there.
right. So do you think that do you think do you think that that's going to be one of those things where they're talking about we're going to use instances when it makes sense? Like, do you think that they'll put like instances in EverQuest Next that's where your player housing is going to be, or do you think that they're going to control like you're free to build, but it has to be within certain characteristics to fit within the image of Norath so that it fits in, or do you think they're going to have it like more of a like Vanguard or Warcraft creation where it's like, okay, there's 5 different houses, you can choose which of the 5 different houses that you can pick, and then there's 3 different guild halls and you can pick which of the guild halls you want, or do you think but once you've got your guild hall, you're free to decorate it with your prop palette all you want, but do you think we're going to be creating with voxels and putting you think so even with like science builds?
I don't think that. I think they're going to police it very carefully in actual EverQuest Next. But I think I remember them saying that it's going to be extremely it's going to be like a really cool reward for you to get that claim, and you're going to have to build faction with the area that you want to build your house in order to get that space to make a claim. I think I remember them saying that. Somebody in chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but because this was a long time ago and they were talking about that. But I think what they said is that it's going to be like a serious reward for you to get a claim from, like, say, Kinos, and you'll be able to build a house in the surrounding area around Kinos and have like a Kinos house. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to fit the style of Kinos, I don't think, but I think it has to fit the style of Norath because they're going to be checking those things.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I think that it would make more like if they had it instanced, right? Then it really wouldn't matter because like normal people running around in Norath wouldn't see your claim. They would have to go into the instance, and once they're in the instance, then like if they don't like what they see, if it doesn't fit with their vision of Norath, well, that's not really necessarily a big deal. Because that's my concern, and somebody pointed it out in the chat, is that like we don't want to see the style of landmark building. Legendary Neurotoxin, his content and creation show was originally Castles and Crop Shacks, right? Like, so you're running through Norath, and you've grinded all the faction to get your claim, and then you put your, boom, there it is, gigantic stone hut in the middle of a populated city, because that's what you want to build, and that's why I think that, like, it would be, like, a templated process where you get to pick your template. I don't know.
I definitely don't think it's going to be instance because I think that they want a living world and they want that. I think they want to show off player creations. But yeah, you're right. They're going to have to police it really hard and really fast in case somebody puts up a penis tower.
The temple to the
Vagina lagoon. Let's make it even.
I just want to do like the
compared it to a lagoon.
I don't know. Maybe they want us to be really big to show off the detail. I don't know. Petals.
Like a delicate flower.
Sure.
Okay. So wow.
Quicksand.
Suxy wrote in.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
I don't know if I don't know. Can I rein this in? Can I pull this back?
So I was gonna say that, like, I honestly think that they're not gonna let us build our housing. Like, I think it's gonna be similar to Vanguard, and it's gonna be, oh, you can put this, or this, and that's all you get to do besides decorating.
Yeah, I see it the same way, is where they're going to be like, especially like in a city like Kinos that has like they've already done all of this iconic, this is the look and this is what they're going to look like with the arches and stuff like that. It's going to be like, if you want to have it, and that's still pretty cool that you get to have your own house in the city of Kinos, and you can be like, well, you can have this style of Kinos house, you can have this style of Kinos house, you can have that style of Kinos house, and these are your options. Because we want to make sure that when you're running through the city of Kinos that everything looks like it belongs.
Hamlin keeps looking at me, and I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do. See? I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Because I can hear you typing, and it's a little distracting because I wonder if my mic picks up what you're typing. So I want to make sure that, like, oh, hey, is she typing to something important? And I can't tell.
I'm going to say this. I'm really sorry that my mic is awful. I'm very, very sorry. I will try to fix it, but I basically just drink. It'll be fine.
Drink more. Yeah, we'll work on that after the show, too. So, like we were talking about, like going through like building using that prop palette. Like they okay, now that we know there is going to be a prop palette that we're going to have in EverQuest Next. Obviously, it's going to be used for some sort of personal claim space. How useful? What uses for that are we going to have? And that, I think that's the big decision that we're going to have to see them come up with the answer to. Is like, it's going to be like a personal instance claim space. Is it going to be a personal open claim space, or is it going to be a personal templated claimed space? And that's those are my the options that I see that they can take. I think that we have a little bit of a disagreement over what seems like the more logical choice. Though Kai and I say like the templated one seems to be the most logical. But if you're going to do a freeform building, then just police it and have like submit for approval your claim to be approved or disapproved by Daybreak before they grant it to you, and your house is built in Kinos, and it'll look like it fits right in, or it won't.
To be fair, I didn't say that it was going to be within Kinos. I said it was going to be in the surrounding areas. So technically, you could have a farmer's crappy shack out in the foothills of Kinos, and nobody would think anything of it because, that's where they built.
It would be cool for in that type of space, because like a hobbit hole, because they talk about like in the Combine, all of the races have basically abandoned their cultural style, their historical cultural society, and they've blended in together to come up with the Kinos style. But like if a hobbit got out of the big city and like, okay, I'm out in doing my own thing, I want to go and I want to make a hobbit hole. It would be cool to see like that sort of being able to build that sort of thing. But I don't know, templated or free or approved, could be either.
I want a hobbit hole.
Build it in Landmark.
You build it.
Ask my mom to build it. She's better at building that sort of thing than I am. She actually built a hobbit hole.
You're supposed to build me a real one.
It's true. It's true.
We agreed that when we have a house, we're building a real hobbit hole. With the big round door. I mean, we're both sure.
Did I say anything about a big round door?
You have to have a big round door.
It has to have a big round door.
Exactly.
Right?
It follows the style guide.
Yes, it does.
Okay. The style guide and says that halflings must have.
Must have. You cannot have a square door. Can't.
No doors, just curtains.
No. They are proper halflings. Thank you very much. This isn't some sort of brothel that you could just walk into.
I agree. It has to have a door.
Right. So the other thing that we saw in the Landmark Live was the new biome. But Lucy, you watched it. Did that look like Did that look like a new biome, or did it just look like the desert biome dressed up? Because they acted like when I was watching like Landmark Live, they acted like it was a big sort of secret, but I'm like, it just looks like the desert. You remember?
It had water running through it, which none of the deserts do right now, just around the shores. So that was different. And then it also had like a different rock pattern, like the hills or cliffs, I guess you would say, within the desert had this strata to them, like this layered effect that you would see in an actual desert. I think I've never lived in a desert, but I've seen pictures. But I don't think that it actually exists in Landmark now. I think it's just sort of like hills and like mountains retextured, if that makes sense, in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm looking at it right now. I threw it back up on the web page so that the viewers can watch it, and it seemed to me like, okay, yeah, I get what you're talking about, but it still looks to me like a dressed up desert biome and not necessarily a new biome.
Yep.
But could be wrong. Could be. What would you call it though? It's not like a savanna biome. instead of a desert biome. I like that word, savanna. We'll call it the savanna biome.
It's a wet desert.
It needs to have the rocks sticking out and jutting so that you could put the line out there. Oh,
You're being corrected and told that's not the new biome.
that's then why did they make I could be wrong, but they made a big deal out of it, and it has a river. No, when they showed video of it later on,
it was basically just ocean.
Yeah,
and
it's
land. It wasn't dynamic flowing water.
Yeah, and it was so it wasn't really a river. What it was is that they took the island continent that we have now, which is kind of like a square outline with like bays and jutties and stuff like that, with maybe a few islands off the coast. Instead of being a very typical continent island, now it's more of there could be like a river flowing through it, but it wasn't really a river. And I'll grab a picture of that too, because they showed that. There we go. Wow, I nailed it. Jumping to it. There we go. It's just a more dynamic looking island instead of a very typical what we've seen so far in Landmark. So maybe I just missed
the reason I say it doesn't have dynamic water is because the waves towards the shore and not through.
Yeah, well, waves, they don't even flow towards the shore. They just kind of wobble.
It kind of undulates, but I mean, like if you looked at the shoreline, the waves sort of like crashed against them a little bit, but in a river, they would flow straight through towards the destination point at the end, which they did not do.
Okay, well, they made it like into a big deal as I was watching it, and I made the assumption, my bad, that this was their sneak peek at the new biome, because we know that there's a new biome coming with the claim wipe. Multiple, and we know that
volcanic, oceanic.
And I've look at Miss Smarty. I say, look at Miss Smarty Pants. Yeah, because I was going to name them off, but you beat me to it because there was the flame. Well, here, take the mic.
I have to actually do content now. This is your job.
My job. No, my job ends.
Keeps us on track.
Well, we've actually come to the end of the outline, so it's kind of like, okay, we have a half hour, or we could end early.
So there are 3 new biomes.
I think that kind of answers that question.
Okay, I do have an actual question.
Oh, we have questions.
We do have questions. I do have another question about the oceanic biome. Do you think that they're going to give us a breathing apparatus, or do you think they're going to make us make air bubbles in order to build underwater?
I think they're going to do the same thing that they've done with like falling on your own claim. It's like if you're building in your claim, they want to turn it into like a building safe spot, so you're not going to have to worry about breathing or anything like that in your own claim. Because you don't want to make people have to work to be able to build in their own claim, because you want to lower that obstacle. You want to be like, be free to build, and that's why they've given us some of the tools. Like, you have to work and build your flying tool to fly around on your claim, but once you have it, you're free to fly around. So I don't know if it's going to be a bubble or an apparatus. I think that it's just going to be an apparatus or an ability. Like, you toggle it on, or you don't even toggle it on. You just have it equipped, and boom, you can breathe underwater.
I'm just saying that I have inadvertently drowned in basically every Sony online SOE/EverQuest now Daybreak game, and I want that to continue.
The first time in Vanguard, take a drink, that I died not from another player was drowning, and it was because I didn't know how to swim up.
The first time I died, I think, in EverQuest 1. No, that's not true. I fell off Kellethan. However, everybody fell off Kellethan at least once, okay? I'm not special or weird because I did that. Everybody has fallen off Kellethan in the original EverQuest. Don't look at me like that. Don't Look at me. I've also drowned in Fellwith's pool outside. Outside their gate, like their gates, they have this bridge to the outside. I've totally drowned in that moat trying to up my swimming. I've drowned in the moat, okay? Just don't judge me.
All right. We had a question. A new EverQuest time-locked progression server has been confirmed for launch this summer. Would any of you be interested in giving it a try? I am, and this is. Silas is going to hate me for saying this, but I'm kind of like, if it's not text-based, I'm a bit of a graphic snob, and if it doesn't look pretty, I'm not playing it.
Okay.
Which is why I don't play Minecraft.
Caitlin doesn't come through my headphones, and I didn't hear everything they said. So one more time.
You're going to hate me because if it's not text-based, I'm a bit.
No, I heard all of that. What was the game?
Oh, EverQuest. EverQuest time-locked progression server, and confirmed for launch this summer.
Really?
Yes. Has it been confirmed, or has it just been they've talked about it for sure? No, they even had a poll going out, so they're gonna do it. I remember looking at the poll. I didn't vote because I knew I wasn't going to participate, but I know it's in there. It's basically time locked progression server is that, like, if you have one tier of raid, the next tier of raid isn't available until like a month after the first one goes down. And they reset the server all the way back to like the first expansion or something like that. So like, I don't know any EverQuest raids, but you basically go to the first tier of raids and work your way all the way up through them. Which reminds me, I'm going to throw something up here real quick. There is a Warcraft private server, not a public server, not owned by Blizzard, that just launched, and they launched last month, and they're going to be a progression server in the same sort of way, where you're originally going to be able to get into like the first vanilla raids, but they've locked up Nexia and they've locked up Blackrock Depths, and that people will have to progress through them before they unlock like the Burning Crusade expansion and the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. This is what it's called. It's Nostralius. It was beta tested over in France. But yeah, progression servers. What do you guys think? Any interest? What if a couple years down the road in EverQuest next, right? So they've got the game launches. 2 years down the road, there's enough interest in people starting over through like resetting all of the rally calls back to the Kinos has just been founded. It's been there for 20 years, and go. What do you do with the story? Would you be interested in regressing back to a previous point in time and going through it?
No.
I thought it was a question.
Hey,
No.
it was a question. Oh.
Answer.
That was like, no. Why would I? Like, what? That's not appealing to me. Nothing about that says, "Oh, this sounds like fun."
Have you ever played through a video game more than once? Like the first time you play through it, you go down one character story arc, and then the second time through it, you're like, "Well, I don't necessarily want to do that. I want to go down this other direction because I didn't see that part."
No, not really.
Not really. You're like, I beat the game. I'm done.
Yes, I have World of Warcraft, and I have 2 level 100s, and the first one was not too bad, and the second was like, eh. I want to see it from Alliance side. I just watched the videos.
I've never been interested in I've never completed a game and then wanted to play through it doing a different thing, because the way I play is that when I play through a game, I play through the way I kind of want to play, and I don't know if I have like a guilty conscience or something, but like, for example, if I made another Skyrim character and tried to be evil and just be a complete dick to everybody around me, I would
You play Skyrim?
Oh yeah.
Huh.
Totally.
Yeah, see, the first time,
But
like, I played... the first time I played through Final Fantasy, and I think I've mentioned this story before, I named the characters after real life family members, and it made me feel horrible. I had to delete and start over. But then, using the experience I learned in my first playthrough of Final Fantasy, I'm like, wow, it was really tough playing it with, like, I think I did a fighter, a red knight, a white knight, a fighter, a red mage, a white mage, and a black mage, and that's actually a pretty terrible group composition for Final Fantasy. And I actually discovered that the easiest character composition is all fighters, and you get the items that heal, and you just kill everything. And so that's one example of playing through, but I think that EverQuest Next just has such a great progression to it, because like it's like a choose your own. Did you ever read the same choose your own adventure storybook more than once through?
Well, yeah, no, usually because I died and I needed to make a different choice.
No, I would read it the way I wanted to make the decision, and then I just read it cover to cover so I could put all the story together later. Seriously, like, those books annoyed me. They weren't dictionaries or technical manuals. They were annoying. Yeah,
see, I love the idea of playing like an EverQuest Next progression server, that it's like, okay, so like there's this rally call, that rally call, and that rally call, and like the paths that you take to get to them are all different, but we're going to reset it, and if you were on a server that went down one path, we're going to give you the opportunity to play on this server and go down a different path if the player so chooses. I like that idea.
Nah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? I those.
I feel like a static EverQuest Next server is just, it's against the entire idea.
Now we have to go further on that, because I love the idea that without levels in EverQuest Next, there's no race to end game, right? There's tier progression, but it's not the same sort of like, okay, I'm going to get to level 10 and I can do this dungeon, I'm going to get to level 20, I'm going to do this dungeon. It's not that. It's a different sort of game feeling. It's more of an open sandbox experience where you do what you would like to do. And so that makes the story of the NORAF that you're involved in on your server much more important. I wouldn't mind getting a different taste of all the different flavors of server that are out there.
So you want to lick servers? Just a taste?
I want a sample. I like exploring it. Lucy, you were saying you think that this is against the entire idea of EverQuest Next. Go on, explain that a little bit further.
I feel like the entire idea of EverQuest Next and A Life of Consequence, which is one of their holy grails, if you will, is that your choices matter. Therefore, the choices made on each individual server matter. And each individual server is different because of the choices that are made. So if you have a static server that is like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, what's the point of your choices?
Well, you wouldn't do it right away. You would do it like 2 or 3 years down the road, and then you'd be like, okay, we're going to do a new progression server and see what story the server wants to tell. And it doesn't invalidate the choices in the Life of Consequences that were made on this other server. It just means that there is a new server that's opened up from further back in time.
No, I understand that. Well, I mean, I guess that's okay. Like, I guess if they do it like after we've had some time to have the servers diverge from, let's say, pure original content, but like at launch, just locking a server and being like, no, you have to play through this. No, I don't want to. I want to explore. I want to see what the Life of Consequence means. So I guess it depends on when they do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, so if you think of rallying calls as like progressively, like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not saying like you launch the game, and after rally call number 1, people are working on rally call number 2, and you create a new progression server that starts off going into rally call number 1. Because then it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't, now you're like, oh, I didn't like the outcome of rally call number 1. Let me go and try and do something different. I'm talking about
the coolest thing ever that it adds to this. The coolest thing ever is if when they open a server, there are like 7 different first starter rallying calls that can be activated, and the players, through their actions, activate the first one. Like, activate one of the different ones.
See, that's where I think that, like, okay, so when we're talking about rallying calls, like, I don't think that there's going to be a rallying call number 1 followed by a rallying call number 2. I think there's going to be a 1A, a 1B, a 1C, a 1D, a 1E, and it depends on what path you go on what rally call you unlock. But the aftermath of all of the 1A through AE, all of the aftermaths, like you were talking about, are kind of the same story, so that no matter what happens you, after the rallying call, Norath is approximately the same place that it would have been. I if that makes any sense. I mean, I can try explaining it. Okay.
Are you saying that it doesn't really matter the choices, that it's going to be what they want it to be? Because that's what it sounds like.
I think that they're going to allow for divergent servers in Quest Next, but I think that they're going to rein in how far the servers can diverge from one another, and they're going to control that to a certain extent. Like, you might have small variations or medium-sized variations, but like the city of Kinos, do you think they're ever going to have a rallying call where Kinos is destroyed? No, they're gonna be like, because they need to tell a narrative. It's going to be a story role-playing game, and so like the story that they put out in front of you, you can get like a choose your own adventure book. You can go down different paths to get to the end result, but ultimately small variations that all get you to that end goal. Like in killing the dragon, right? In one realm, you might enlist the help of the dwarves to kill the dragon, and in one it might be enlist the help of the ogres to kill the dragon. I don't know, that sort of deal.
Okay.
I do, however, feel like after a certain amount of time, one server is going to become like, if you want to be evil, you go to this server. And one server is going to be like, if you want to be the hero, you go to this server. And
it's going to be a PvP server. It's going to be a PvP server. The evil. I'm not going to say the evil people like PvP. And
yes, they do.
But I will say that people who generally pick a quote-unquote evil response to a question, like, I'll punch your face in, or something like that, rather than being like, maybe we can talk about this. They're the people who like conflict, and the PvPers like conflict. That's what I will say about that. I'm not going to say that PvPers are generally evil, or that there are plenty of our peers who only play on PvE servers, like, I'm a seduct, and I'm going to rock your world. And, like, that's, I don't know, like, crazy BDSM and all this kind of crazy stuff. No. If you've ever played Guild Wars 2, you have no idea. You have no idea. Anyway, I'm not going to say that PvPers are the only ones who pick the conflict options, is basically what I'm saying. But you will find that PvPers will more often pick the conflict option, which could be associated with the evil option. But what I'm saying is that you're going to find a server that will gravitate towards these choices, and a server that will gravitate towards these choices, and people who want to see that outcome will gravitate one or the other, and those will be the polar opposites, with other servers being a shade of gray. And honestly, I want to play in a shade of gray area where I don't know who's going to win. Don't talk about, they already did it.
They did it. You know what? You want to know what's fun? That was posted before you mentioned the shades of gray between the good server and the evil server or whatever. It was funny. That's why I was chuckling. Yeah, I don't know. I think that you're gonna have servers that, like, I think that you're right, that there are people who enjoy conflict, and because they enjoy conflict, they're going to gravitate towards PvP servers. And when you think of the people that like conflict, you think about the races that are like, I don't like you, I'm going to push you out of my face, that type of thing. Where people that don't like conflict, they like diplomacy, and we think diplomacy is good. And I would love to see a server that is hardcore the knights of goodness and stuff, and they're just total. They are total PvP in your face. Like, we do not negotiate with evil at all whatsoever. You're an orc.
Oh, so you mean a full of paladins?
Yeah, duh. No,
On a horde server, which are technically the bad guys.
No, they're not.
Whoa, back up there. Horde are not, they're misunderstood. They didn't.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Oh, okay. So I think that we've gone over that a little bit. The next question, and I was going to skip over this.
I was going to drop it and move on.
I was gonna drop this question, but Kailas and I definitely disagree with this. And the question is, with
I love how he brings it up because we disagree.
If we all agreed, it's kind of a pointless question. It's not that interesting to talk about. Like, when we all agree, it's a conflict. It's interesting. It drives conversation. If we all agree, then it's like, yep, So when we disagree, it's a more interactive and involved conversation. But the question is, with Crowfall coming out sometime in December 2016, do you think that Daybreak is under the gun to hurry up with EverQuest Next? Kailas? Wait, what say you? Well,
I'm sorry, I was chewing on a piece of ice.
Lucy, what say you? Or Kailas, now that you can talk.
Yes, but it's not because it's Crowfall. Like, I don't give a shit what game it is being out soon. It's competition. But hello, how long have they taken to get this damn game out? They should be under a crunch, regardless of what's coming out. But I think doubly so with Crowfall coming. Yeah. Crunchy, just like the ice I was eating.
I would say I'm kind of in agreement there that whatever pressure that Daybreak is under to get AQ Next out has nothing to do with Crowfall. They're either under pressure internally from Smedley saying, hey, get the game out, or from the investment company that owns them saying, hey, we want to see the game out. Why isn't it out yet? All of that pressure is probably coming in from internal sources, and I don't think that they're really comparing themselves with external sources. I don't know as much about Crowfall as I would.
Unless you count forums as external sources, then
True. Well, I was going to bring that up too, and that is the we talked a little bit about it before the show before we went live about the hype of EverQuest Next, and 2 years ago at SOE Live 2013, hype was at an all-time high because we'd finally seen EverQuest Next, and over the year and a half since that, the hype has just gone woo and plummeted, and I think that external pressure might be from the players saying, hey, you hyped it up, where is it? We want it. And then the other point being about Crowfall. I don't know that much about Crowfall, but the four fundamentals of EverQuest Next, the AI, world of consequence, destructible world, and I forget the fourth one because I'm kind of put on the spot answering the question here. I don't know what sort of pillars that Crowfall have, but I don't see that those conflict with one another. Those games conflict each other over, like, I'm an MMO player, this is the game I want to play, this is the game I want to play. Okay, cool. But someone who wants to get into EverQuest Next is looking at, like, I want to see a world that has AI that functions in a realistic manner, and it makes me feel like I'm part of that other world. And Crowfall, I don't know if they necessarily have that same sort of feel to them, other than, they both use voxels, they're both MMOs, that type of thing.
Do we have other questions to answer?
We don't. But here's the other thing: is that Crowfall is something like the 14th highest Kickstarter game of all time. Maybe Daybreak needs to go Kickstarter for EverQuest Next. I
don't think they need to kickstart it, but I do feel like release the founders packs. I will buy it. I will buy the highest tier of the Founders Packs. Just
No.
take my money.
No. Never again. They're never getting my money like that again. No, absolutely not. Never. I don't trust them.
But what if the items that they link for the Founders Pack give you
Pretty dress.
credible? I'm not going to say outfits because that is a draw. I'm not going to lie. But what if they give you hope for features that they will have to implement in order to make the item viable?
No.
Okay.
And they could
buy it.
me with pretty dresses and
Plushies?
their train of hype that fails miserably every motherfucking train station they hit. They're never getting my money for a Founders Pack again until they prove that they're going to do what they say they're going to do in a reasonable amount of time. I'm done giving them my money for games that aren't doing anything.
I love Landmark, and I love what the Founders Pack gave me, so I will give them my money for the next Founders Pack. I absolutely will throw money at my screen until I get what I want.
And I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it, and I'm not saying that the people that buy those things are wrong. For me, the way I consume video games, and specifically the way that I consumed that game, no. Because I barely play right now. I'm not enjoying what I am. It's logging in and it's work for me. It's not, oh, I really want to be doing this. This is that I have to do this. This is that I have to go see the new update. I have to go see the new outfits. I have to go look at the new armor. I have to, not I want to. So until it turns into a want.
It's so funny that Kai comes from a stance from loving World of Warcraft, and that's exactly how I felt about every World of Warcraft update. Is that gotta log in, gotta level my character, gotta do the new dailies. That's exactly how I felt about that. And whereas Landmark, I'm like, I can do whatever I want. There's no dailies.
Ask me how many fucks I give about dailies.
That was, and again,
zero.
It might just be. Hold on. I turned something off. There. How long has this been off? I turned off our frames accidentally. I went back to play that text-based game, and I'm loving it. And it's because it's very no level cap, right? So there is no end game level cap where you have to race to get to a certain level. But the game developers will be like, after a certain point in time, like you can level your skill in your longbow way beyond any reasonable level of content in the game. Like you can just be like a master bowman, but it's like it doesn't matter because you're not. There's nothing more difficult for you to hit. Every time you pull back and draw and you shoot, you split the arrow in two every single time. If you want to get better than that, you can increase your numerical value all you want. Makes no difference. And so when you have that sort of gameplay, people start caring less about it. They start feeling about the game that like, I just want to log in and I want to see what's going on. And it becomes a very like, well, what are the other players doing? And because it's a very community-oriented game, the game masters and the developers will take over NPCs and they'll run little quest lines and storylines on their own. And that's my hope for NORAP at this point in time. Like, I don't want to see, like, I want to be a hero and do heroic deeds, but I don't want it to be heavy-handed, scripted. You know, this is how you defeat this boss, and we're going to get ready at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night, and we're going to go for 2 hours, and we're going to, make sure you have your health potions. I want it to be more organic, to be like, dude, there's this huge ogre running through the Hobbit Hills. Let's go get it. And it becomes a raid. So yeah.
And I want rallying calls to be different than the whole Guild War II Guild Wars 2 events because they advertise themselves. I remember watching or reading a blurb or something like that. Like every time you level and go through a zone, it'll be different because the events will be different. Fuck you. Fuck that. No, they're not. Go fuck yourselves. You fucking lied to me, you assholes.
Rift did the same thing. The dynamic content system in Rift, it was like, oh, there's these portals that are going to spawn, and they're going to spawn in random locations, and they're going to be random type of portals into other worlds, and through these portals, these mobs are going to come, and they'll take over your world unless you fight them back. And it was like, oh, that's a cool concept, and they implemented it. It was okay, but it became very predictable and very calculated. Like, you knew what was going on. And Guild Wars 2 is kind of the same thing. Like, you could play through and it would be, it wouldn't be exactly the same because of the random events that would occur. But like the Centaurs, it was like, oh, look, the 3 Centaur lieutenants are spawned. Go kill them. And it was like, oh, you know what? I remember these guys. It didn't happen when I was playing this character, but it was when I was playing that character. That sort of deal where, yeah.
By the way, that's a double drink because I went on a proper rant and he just talked about Vanguard. So drink up.
No, that was Rift.
I'm sorry.
And Guild Wars 2.
I feel like we should do it for Rift too.
I only played Rift for a couple of months.
Either way, I went on a rant. So drink.
Empty.
Whose fault is that?
He's gonna blame me because I didn't bring him 2.
No, I grabbed that one. So didn't I? I don't remember.
He's gonna blame me because I didn't bring him even 1.
All right. So final thoughts. We're at the 2-hour mark. We can wrap up the show, and it'll be up. Oh, there was a question. I used ogres as the character running through the Hobbit Hills in Norath. Ogres are a playable race, so it's not necessarily a mob. So a big troll.
Maybe there's a dev who's playing an ogre who has decided to be an asshole and runs through a Hobbit village,
my God,
punching the hobbits in the face.
I would love it. Like if they don't have the tools for EverQuest Next to take over NPCs, they need to do it because they need to be able to like. Here's the king sitting on a throne and somebody says something rude in his presence. I want that king to be like, dude, I'm standing right here. Shut your mouth or I'm going to have the guards throw you out. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah? I'd like that. That'd be cool.
And I use that as an example because that happens in the Dragon Realms game. Not all the time, but it has happened. Right, so we're running out of time. Final thoughts before we wrap it up. If you have questions and we haven't gotten to it, you can always email it to us, tweet to us. Hopefully we'll get to it on our next show. We may not have a show next weekend. We haven't quite decided. It is Easter weekend, so it depends on like how many people tell us like, hey, I'm going to be busy with family and I'm not going to be able to make it.
Let's take a quick vote in chat. Would you watch next week or 2 weeks from now? 2 weeks from now?
No, this coming Sunday.
Next week. Would you watch next week if we host EverCast? Would you be here, or would you be doing things with family? Let's see.
The dogs are. Both of our dogs, they normally get super hyper around me, but both of them are being like super chill, but they both definitely want my attention. This is the best behaved they've ever been while trying to get my attention. So we have 1 vote for yes, I'd watch. 2, 3. Okay. All right. We'll
decide.
We'll decide because I think that Kailas is saying that she won't be here. So again, if you have questions and we have not gotten to it, email it, tweet us, message us on Twitter or Twitch. Get a hold of us somehow and ask your question, and we save it and we'll answer you or we'll talk about it and we'll figure something out.
I think our Twitter handles are somewhere down here.
They are.
Tweet us. I'm always on Twitter. Tweet me. I will totally respond.
It really is.
I'm always on Twitter. Always. It's like my jam. I'm always on Twitter. Sorry.
Oh, somebody's asking what happened to talking about the landmark reset. Well, you must have missed that when we were talking about what do you plan on doing after they wipe the characters and wipe the servers, and we're all excited because we get to learn how to use the new tools all for fresh eyes. Anyway, we did.
My pro tip, if you play after the reset, buy one of the packs that gives you, like, lets you skip progression, because that's what I'm doing. I've been through progression twice. Not doing it again. I'm skipping ahead as far as I can.
So when you're talking progression, you're talking like the tools or like the I thought they made that easier to get all the tools now. See, this is why they need to do a wipe so that we can all see the new player experience for the first time again.
Totally.
Okay. Hi, you wanna camp us out? You wanna wrap it up? What's up?
I will do the camping. Camping and thank you for joining us on, what is this, episode 52?
52 weeks in a year? That's a year's worth of episodes.
But we're going on a year and a half.
Well, we used to do them every 2 weeks, and then we went to every week.
Okay, so camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, guys.